No one would have believed in the early years of the 21st century that our world was being watched by intelligences greater than our own. That as men busied themselves about their various concerns, they observed and studied. The way a man with a microscope might scrutinize the creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. With infinite complacency, men went to and fro about the globe, confident of our empire over this world. Yet, across the gulf of space, intellects, vast and cool and unsympathetic, regarded our planet with envious eyes, and slowly and surely drew their plans against us.
What if the history you were taught in school was all a lie? Is our government controlled by a secret society? Bitter heat in the summer, brutal cold in the winter. Violent weather patterns occurring across the globe with more frequency and greater destructive capability than ever before.
When we look at all these storm cells happening around the globe, it seems that the power and focus of these storms is almost being engineered. We can look at the paths of hurricanes and see that they're not random anymore.
What if there's a more sinister explanation? Something man-made. Some say there's a top-secret government device that can destroy our world. Capable of causing earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis.
Imagine the Earth's atmosphere, also known as the ionosphere, as a thick soap bubble. It is a membrane, a natural electrically charged shield around the Earth, protecting all life from deadly solar radiation.
We have to have the atmosphere for survival. I don't think we should do anything to damage it.
Without the ionosphere, I'd be fried, you'd be fried. All life on Earth would be fried.
In 1912, Nikola Tesla, a visionary genius, saw ways to tame the sky, to make the atmosphere glow. He developed alternating current, high-frequency radio technology, and free energy. He experimented with both high and low frequencies and electromagnetic waves. He envisioned altering the weather and creating shields around the Earth to protect us from missiles, and he claimed he knew how to split the Earth in two. In 1985, Bernard Eastlund applied for patents that could make some of these ideas real. Many claim that these patents have become the blueprint for HAARP, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program.
ARCO originally approached me in 1984 to find a use for the natural gas on the North Slope of Alaska, which they could not sell. To give you a feel for how much gas they asked me to find an application for, it was enough gas to produce all the electricity in the United States for a full year. I originated some ideas for military applications and beneficial civilian applications in which that gas would be converted into electricity and then used to power some gigantic antennas.
What does HAARP do? HAARP is a large antenna where we beam radio frequency energy up into the upper atmosphere, and we create on a small scale what the sun normally does. And the reason we're trying to do this is because when you have disturbances in the ionosphere, we can't communicate with our satellites.
HAARP began with a congressional insertion in the appropriations bill of fiscal year 1990. In essence, Congress directed the Defense Department to explore the potential for using the auroral regions for improving communications and navigation and surveillance. From there, the assignment came that the Navy and the Air Force were to manage the program. It is people from those two organizations that have worked together for the past 7 years.
Applications discussed in the patents included destroying missiles. Communications control and disruption were included. There were some other ideas both to possibly modify weather and finally to lift a portion of the upper atmosphere further out into space where hopefully it would be able to deflect missile trajectories.
What we do by beaming up radio frequency up into the ionosphere, that radio frequency, when it hits molecules of atmosphere, it tends to make the subatomic particles inside move faster, and that increases their temperature. So you can bring their temperature up to 1,600 degrees or so, which is normally what the sun does to those particles at that atmosphere.
The ionosphere of the Earth has got enormous amount of energy. There are 8,000 thunderstorms going on all over the Earth at any given moment. There are millions of amperes of electricity pouring to the Earth from lightning strikes, and HAARP could create a trigger effect.
In 1983, I did radiotomography with 30 watts, looking for oil in the ground. I found 26 oil wells over a 9-state area, and 100% of the time was accurate with just 30 watts of power beaming straight into solid rock. HAARP uses 1 billion watts beamed straight into the ionosphere for experiments. Picture these strings on the piano as layers of the Earth. Each one has its own frequency. What we used to do is beam radio waves into the ground, and it would vibrate any strings that were present in the ground. We might get a sound back like, and we'd say, that's natural gas. We might get a sound back like, and we'd say, that's crude oil. We were able to identify each frequency. We accomplished this with just 30 watts of radio power. If you do this with 1 billion watts, the vibrations are so violent that the entire piano would shake. In fact, the whole house would shake. In fact, the vibrations could be so severe underground that could even cause an earthquake.
While we feel that HAARP is a unique facility, it's not the only one like it in the world. HAARP has some capabilities that we feel are better than some of the others. You can change the frequencies. You can shift the beam so that you can move it from one part of the ionosphere to another, and it has quite a bit more power than some of the other facilities throughout the world that are doing the same kinds of research.
I chose what's called a phased array antenna for the patents because it can be aimed. Picture holding your microwave oven in your hands with the door open. Then you can move it around and send those microwaves different directions. And for these applications where I wanted precise control of where the power was, I felt that was the best type of antenna to use. And that is the kind that HAARP has built.
What we can do with an antenna is change the portion of the sky into which we insert the energy.
HAARP can create some of the effects that the sun creates that are similar to the aurora borealis.
HAARP can paint designs in the sky, if you will. You know, it can take the beam and move it in any pattern that the scientist who's doing the experiment might want to do.
What I'm holding in my hands is an electrodeless lamp. In it, I have a low atmosphere gas, somewhat similar to the atmosphere above the Earth. I'm now going to put this in the microwave oven, which will irradiate it with about 1 watt per square centimeter.
You know, you put 1 watt out and you've got the field necessary to break down the air, or whatever happens.
And you see all of the motion of the plasma. That's typical of what will happen at high altitude when the ionosphere gets irradiated with these big beams.
That was 1 watt per centimeter. HAARP focuses 3.6 million watts and squeezes it into a billion-watt or gigawatt beam.
We're squeezing the megawatts into a narrow beam. Then in a very tiny area, you can create what's it called, an effective gigawatt.
Is HAARP safe? Yes, HAARP is safe.
The Earth is a web of interconnections. How do we know what we're doing when we blast the upper atmosphere with a huge amount of energy.
It takes a tiny, tiny amount of energy to release a huge amount of energy. It's the same as a bullet, for example. If you have the primer on the back of a bullet, and that primer releases a tiny amount of energy, but it triggers the larger power in the bullet itself. And HAARP is playing with the energy system of the Earth.
In the HAARP program, we have, I believe right now, 18 different colleges and universities that are working the program with us. University scientists are interested because they're studying science, and this is a major effect on the Earth, and so they want to know more about what it is and what it does.
HAARP has no effect on the Earth.
HAARP began in the 1980s when we were just beginning to learn about chaos theory, how a tiny stimulus can change the dynamics of a living system like the human body or the whole living Earth. I don't think the people who developed HAARP were even aware of that science or its impact in the life sciences. Today, our knowledge is much bigger about how tiny effects can drastically shift the health or well-being of a living thing.
It is possible with a big beam to take a part of that upper atmosphere and push it out for it.
What they're not paying any attention to is what's happening to the ionosphere while it's being held 80 miles out into space by this high-energy beam. It's heating up. And all of the molecules in that ionosphere region are absorbing energy out of that radio beam. And if they pick the right frequency to push that plume out into space, that energy may discharge back out of the ionosphere, back down the radio beam, and strike the Earth. And it would be about 100 times the energy released out of a thunderbolt. And that's how much energy would be released.
In certain applications, the military acknowledges that it can literally lift the ionosphere. And what they say is, it's not a problem, it's a short period of time, yet when you lift the ionosphere up, the lower atmosphere rushes in and fills that void, which changes localized weather patterns.
The Los Angeles Times on April 21st, you said that you told the Associated Press that the American government has created weather tampering techniques so that the New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans and to control the rest. Could you explain what you were trying to say?
Well, what I was trying to say is exactly what I said. There is weather control techniques. We have a complete package on that, which I did not bring, but I certainly will see to it that it is brought in for the record. Number one, the entire patents on the equipment. Number two, Senator Claiborne Pell's complete statement and story of his own that not only does it exist, but that we even utilize it as far back as the Vietnam War. You might want to touch base with Senator.
Many attribute the upturn in severe weather around the world to man-made global warming. But with the creation of the high-powered antenna array known as HAARP, is it possible that mankind's role in the weather is more than incidental? Is a top-secret government project actually controlling the weather? We've done it before. Unsealed case file. Operation Popeye. March 1967. The Ho Chi Minh Trail. Ground zero in the battle to control the weather. Seeking an edge in the intensifying Vietnam War, the U.S. military launches a bold initiative.
Operation Popeye was a weather manipulation program during the Vietnam War. What they wanted to do was seed clouds or create clouds to then cause a torrential downpour on troops on the battlefield.
The goal? Increase rainfall and deny the North Vietnamese access to their supply routes.
And they did. They extended a monsoon season by 30 days.
Officially, the aircraft and their crews were part of normal weather recon operations. But in reality, something far more sinister was going on.
I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And this second beast of Revelation chapter 13 is none other than the United States of America.
Photograph coming in my opinion, what we're looking at is a HAARP weapon. In your face. In my opinion, this is what it is. I've been waiting to say that HAARP and the weather can be weaponized, and I think this is a perfect photograph that has been submitted to Third Phase of Moon by Derek Brewery. We want to get in touch with a Navy technician on board this vessel of what went down. Whether this is an attack, a natural phenomenon, to me this seems like straight up, in your face, a test. We got Brent Cousins here. He's going to lay his opinion. We've seen a lot of weird skies over planet Earth and a lot of videos being submitted to us at Third Phase of Moon that have been pretty much waking up the people that what you're seeing is not natural. I believe what you're seeing in this photograph is a weapon. Brent?
Blake, this is very interesting footage. I would have to say you sunk my battleship. What the hell's going on here? We have two battleships on the coastline. This could be a water spout out of control, and it has a direct hit on the battleship on the right. Or, like you're saying, Blake, CERN connection weapons. War games being held out in the sea. You know, things are heating up around the world. Putin just said he got stabbed in the back by Turkey. You know, I might have to back Putin up on this, but this isn't fair games what's going around the world. It's all a cover-up. And this is a cover-up, what we're seeing right now. War games on the ocean conducted by our military. Harnessing HAARP, CERN, what the hell's going on? I keep using what the hell because this video coming in is something that I've never seen before, Blake.
You know, when I first saw it, you're exactly right. The skip a heartbeat comes to mind. Something big's going down, and this is a weapon, in my opinion. Coincidence? I don't think so. They must have some kind of magnetic drive, some kind of like CERN or HAARP device aboard the ship. They're not even, it's already transit across any ocean. We're not stuck in Switzerland anymore. The technology's able to get anywhere around the world to harness or weaponize Mother Nature.
97 due east of Playtown. Oh my God, look at that horizontal vortices on the left side. Horizontal vortices. All right, I know. Watch out. Yeah, Dick, beware, okay? Beware, you're good, beware. It's not moving side to side, which means it's coming right at us right now. We need to be... This house right here! Hey, run up to that house! Get him to take shelter! Reed, I have him. Back up. Turn the car around, Joel. I'm gonna call 911 again. Were you able to get through? Yes, I talked to... God, there's debris. It hit something. You hear that roar? Yeah. It's gonna move south of us. Get ready to back up. You gotta make perfectly sure those things get expanded beyond.
Sounds like a giant flame or something. I'm gonna walk across the street.
This is not good, y'all. No, I don't see anything yet. Did you see the lightning? Oh God, I don't feel good. Oh Lord, in the name of Jesus. Why is there nothing on TV? Jesus. What was that? I don't know where the safest part of this house is at. It's on the ground for sure. I feel it. You see anything? Yes, ma'am. Has there been any reports of any tornadoes out toward the airport? It's really, really loud out here. I'm on Spring Hill Road on Walnut Grove Lane. It's about 3 miles south on Spring Hill Road. And it has just been going on for a while. Walnut Grove Lane. Sorry, I'm shaking. Okay, I don't, okay. Okay, thank you so much. They got a lot of calls, but she said we don't know if it's a tornado or not. They got if it is to get to the state. Uh-oh, what was that? I don't hear it anymore, Tim. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Whew.
You seen what's happening over there?
What's going on?
There's one going up and joining it.
Yeah?
Go right hooked into it.
That line?
Yeah, there's one coming up from the bottom.
On the left? Oh, the one at the bottom, yeah, it's split.
No, it's coming up. There's one coming up to it.
It's coming up to it. I got it on film right now.
So,
listen.
It just disappeared, Mars.
What did?
The trail that was making that trail went all the way up to there, and it just disappeared again.
Okay, I put some hands on you.
You see this flare of light. This is a sonic flare. It's coming up directly from that. It's heating up the clouds in the sky. You see they're actually hot. It's causing heat in the sky and in the clouds. Coming down way over there. It's actually skipping off the ionosphere and coming back down. I've mentioned this in other films of mine. And it is not exactly at Palatino. And as you see, this is not as far inland as Palatino. This is an inlet from the ocean on the eastern shore of Brazil, going inland in from the inlet right here. Let me show you where that is. Right here seems to be that inlet, and they were standing up over here. And as you notice, the southern arm of the Ascension Island hydroacoustic system, that diamond is right here, just east where they said it was. Now let me let you see what that flare hitting the ionosphere and being projected down from that ionosphere looks like from the International Space Station. Here is ISS capturing images. Now you see this light that is coming up to the atmosphere and stopping at the atmosphere. It's because it's being bounced from below on the ground or in the sea. It's hitting the atmosphere and it's moving the clouds, but even though it has even though it excites the clouds and causes the clouds to part from its way, it goes back down into the atmosphere. It goes back down to the Earth. Let's see what that looks like when it hits the Antarctic. You see this area that sound energy is causing the metal particulates and the ice and so forth to become incandescent. That sound is actually separating those clouds just like it did when it hit the ionosphere. That's what you're seeing, the separation of those clouds. Now, why are they doing that in the Antarctic? For the same reason they're doing it to Greenland and the same reason they're doing it to the Arctic, to melt the ice. It's all, whenever you wonder what in the world the PTB is doing, the powers that be, follow the money. Where is the money? The documentation is the drive to drill for oil in the Arctic, in the Antarctic, and in Greenland. In the process, they're going to do their very level best to tax each and every one of us as much as they possibly can for our green, for how green we live our lives. For every breath we take, we're going to be taxed for that under the guise of global warming, for our carbon footprint. And the whole reason that these Antarctic and Arctic and ice shelves are melting is because their TTAs are heating them. They're superheating them and causing them to melt. In so doing, we're being told that the sea tides are rising. That's to be expected somewhat. I don't think they're going to rise as much as the powers that be believe they're going to rise, But when you have things like tsunami creating machines, who needs higher rising tides? You can just create the rising yourself.
由南向北行驶而来，就在他准备右转弯时，车尾突然腾空而起，发生了侧翻。随后，紧邻的面包车也飞离了地面，撞到了后边的小轿车。同时，由北向南驶过来的一辆。
What's going on in this video? We got two locations, two different shooters, two different phenomenons. Two phenomenons. One phenomenon caught on video.
You know, Blake, I've got to be honest, I cannot explain this phenomenon. It's absolutely intriguing. When I look at the way that the light is dispersed, or the energy, or whatever it is that's displayed in this video, I mean, what do you want to call it? Light? Energy? I mean, we can get into the optics. I want to call it light. Let's just call it light for now. The way that the beam of light shifts through the air is absolutely a phenomenon that I have not seen. I can't explain. I'm completely in awe of this video. If you ask me, this is some type of artificial phenomenon. This is not a natural, organic phenomenon. This is either an experiment or something of the sort where there's some serious technology being exemplified here, and perhaps natural phenomenon of energy exchange being taken advantage of. For what purpose, I don't know, but this is not a purely organic, natural circumstance here. This is intriguing, high-tech, and non-organic.
Well said, Orlando. I've been calling it the Matrix, almost a flux in the HAARP system, showing itself mistakenly to the public, and there's a glitch. It's a glitch happening around the world, and it's being awoken for people to see for the first time.
atmospheric electrical phenomenon known as ball lightning. The term refers to reports of luminous spherical objects. Scientists are baffled. Unexplainable phenomenon in the skies. What you're looking at, we're going to get a close look, a real close look. We got Brent Cousins. Tesla. Doesn't Tesla come to mind?
Like, that's what I was about to say. This reminds me of Tesla big time. Look at it. It's a Tesla ball.
The craziest thing is that in the last 100 years with experiments around the world, in the public eye, there has been no duplication of the magnitude of experimental phenomenon of the creation of ball lightning. It has been created in the laboratory all over the world, and it has not been created on the scale that was created 100+ years ago and demonstrated and verified. So that is something that is really perplexing.
So could this be Tesla's secret experiments that are happening right now, that the major elite that have taken advantage of this information, they've kept it suppressed from the public, and they're harnessing it right now in front of our eyes, as in this video, that Tesla's ideas and technology exist, but they're not sharing it with us?
I wouldn't be surprised. There are characteristics of this metallic object that does look like a Tesla ball. It does look like the exact same formation of the attracting electricity from the ionosphere. In this case, lightning bolts. Perhaps the activity was created. We know that HAARP can dramatically change the environmental conditions to create the possibility for such elevated levels of electric activity. And so this is something that looks unnatural to a certain point. And I wonder, is it really top secret technology being displayed for us right now? It very well may be.
Blake, I'm looking at Jeffrey's email right now, and he describes he couldn't hear the thunder.
I want to go inside.
It's okay. Huh?
I want to go inside.
Okay, you go ahead.
That's enough weather for me. I want to go by myself.
It's kind of fun, isn't it?
No.
Well, it's the 4th of July.
No, it's not.
Oh, we'll see. Yeah, well, it's not gonna hit there again, okay? Because lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place. Shit!